Hey everyone, welcome back to the SCL. So in today's video, we're going to be doing decals for my Southern Eagle Alliance cars. And as you can see here, I got a bunch of stuff here in front of me. I bought 5 of each of these decal stickers. These are the ones I'm going to use. These are from Microscale. And in this case, I'm going to be using HO90321 for the white letters. And I'll be using HO90013 for the gold letters. Now I'm using HO because, and you'll kind of lift this up here, and I'm actually going to be removing these later on, and I'll explain why in a second. These are the same letters, the HO scale, and I just found that the HO ones have different size options, which just fit the car a whole lot better than the O scale ones did. And I just, like I said, liked having the variation in size, and it was just nice being able to pick the size because it just fit the grooves of the spot that I wanted to fit a whole lot better. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we'll do here is I'll put this one off to the side, and I'll show you guys kind of how I just prepare the sheet. What I decided to do was go with the second biggest size. So I'm going to start by cutting here right around the middle, and I'm just going to cut all the way through the sheet. And then I hold on to the other decals that I don't use, just in case sometime down the road I decide I want to do more graphics and I need something either bigger or smaller than what I'm using for my current project here. Alright, put these aside. And I'll put this one off to the side. And I'll pull out the gold one. Now the gold one's a little more complicated because of the way the sheet is positioned, just because they're kind of all over the place. So what I'm going to do here is cut here. I think it's through here. Then cut up at an angle, because I don't need these numbers. At least not for this project. Then cut all the way through. And there, put this off to the side. And I'll cut right here. There, and I'll cut because I need these numbers. Cut all the way through there, and then I'll cut these letters out. All right, now I'll put this to the side. So here are all the letter sheets I bought. Like I said, I bought 5 of each because I know for a fact I'll have enough to finish the white letters. The gold letters, because of the way they're positioned and how many are on each page, I'm not quite sure if I'll have enough. Letters, I think I'll be okay. Numbers will be a bit questionable because there's only so many of this size on that sheet, and I need a lot of certain numbers due to the ones I've picked, but we'll see what happens. So I'm going to move all these off to the side, and I'm going to put them in this little tray that I have just to hold them until I'm ready for them. Put that off to the side, and I'm going to put my screwdriver off to the side. We won't need that till the very end. We'll need these later, so I have a X-Acto knife here to help separate the individual letters and numbers. We'll get to that in a second. And I also use this tool to help position the decals when we're done. But you'll notice this one, along with all of my other cars, are about halfway done. Now, I started these a while back, and then when I realized I ran out of gold letters because I knew I wouldn't be nearly enough, I really bought the one sheet just to see how I like the color. But I put them away so that way they would kind of stay clean as best as I could until I was ready to move on and finish them. But I ended up deciding, well, what I'll do is I'll just replace all of the letters. So I'm going to be taking off all the letters that are currently on all of my cars, and then I'm going to clean them, and then I'm going to reapply them just so that way the letters are all fresh, all were applied at the same time, and it's just easier for me to do it all that way. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a piece of scrap plastic that I have laying around from my 3D printer, one of my prints, and I'm going to take a quick picture of this so that way I have a reference point on the positioning. As I did these initially, I kind of took notes on the spacing and everything like that, so I already have notes on all that. I just want to make sure I get the spacing on this door back like it was. Alright, got that picture. So what I'm going to do is I have my water here and my brush. I'm going to just put a little bit of, not a lot of pressure on, just put some water on it to kind of help that adhesive lift back off of the sticker. And I already tested this once on the other side, so I know this works. Just keep putting a little bit of water on it. Kind of rub on it a little bit with the brush, and it should lift off. All right, put the brush down, use my tweezers here, and it lifts right off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut to when I got all this off, and then we're gonna clean it. All right, so now we've got all the graphics off of it. So what I'm gonna try and use to clean this, and we're gonna see how this works, is I'm gonna use the Be Gone Cleaner by JT's Megastine. This is mainly meant for cleaning off smoke fluid residue, but this is also, I think, a pretty good overall cleaner for models. So we're gonna give this a shot. So what I'm gonna try is just maybe applying it directly to the model, and then when I'm done with that, we'll wipe it down using a microfiber cloth. Gonna try and really get in the corners there, so that way I don't want to lock in any rust, or not rust, but dust whenever I go into clear coat these. Looks like it's doing a pretty good job. I don't see any dust anywhere. I don't see any more residue from the old stickers. Yeah, this seems to be doing a pretty good job. And I figured it would, but that's what it's made for. Alright, this side looks good. I'll flip over to the other side. Give this one nice look over. There's some small, and I might, in between cuts, go back through and do another pass over these just to make sure they're good and clean. Flip over to the other side. Give it a good coating. Make sure you don't break off any of the details if you're doing this, because there are grab irons on this one that I'm trying not to accidentally knock off that are catching on the rag just a touch. And I'll hit the ends after this just for good measure, because I'm gonna have to clean it out too. I'm looking down the side, that all looks good. I don't see any marks from where the decals used to be. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, so I'll hit the top one more time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this dry, and I'll hit the ends, and then I'll probably hit it one more time off camera, and then we'll start reapplying the graphics. All right, so now the car is pretty much as clean as it's gonna get. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and pull out some of my stickers here, put the ones that I need aside here. I'll do 2 sets of those because I don't, well no, I have enough numbers, never mind. Well, I'll leave it out just in case anyway. Pull those out. Pull out 1 sheet of gold letters and 1 sheet of white letters. I'll put my little tray aside. I'll pull out my X-Acto knife so that way I can cut out the letters. Put my phone aside for now because I don't need that just yet. And I'll start cutting out the letters and numbers that I need. So I'll start here with the white, and I'll start out with the S's. Well, yeah, I guess I'll start with the S's. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut the S from the sheet. Just like this. And all I'm doing is I'm just pushing down gently into the sheet just to get that initial cut, and I'm just dragging down the sheet and it just separates like that. And I'm using gloves just because now the car is clean. I don't want it to get any sort of hand residue or just anything like that on it while it's clean. So I guess I'll just put it to the side right there so that way I have a little more room to cut. So now I have the S's that I am going to need a few R's. So cut the R free. And I'll start my stack of letters over here. Now the good thing about this particular sheet is, due to the amounts of letters that I need from this particular sheet, I can get more than one car at least started with this sheet. But the more sheets I get, obviously the more cars I can do, but due to how few of some other letters that I use, I end up having a good stock of letters all around. So what I usually end up with whenever I'm done cutting all these things out is a sheet that kind of looks like that with all my extra stuff. I have a bunch of these naturally from trying to do some of these a lot. So I just kind of stockpile them all in one little bag. But let's move on to the gold letters. All right, now that our surface is clear, goes good there. So now what I'll do is I'll position the car. I'll do it on a paper towel, I guess, so that way it stays clean at the bottom. But yeah, it's not really gonna do anything. So I'll lean it up like that, so that way it's at an angle. Then I'll pull out my phone and pull up my reference picture that I took earlier. And I'll start applying the decal. So first letter is obviously S. Get my X-Acto knife back out. And I'll cut out the first letter. And I'll leave the other S that I have here out because I'm going to need it at the very end. I do the S in lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little S. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up on the camera. And I'll take my water here and I'll dip it there for just a second, like maybe half a second or so. And then I'll get my little tool here. Look at my reference photo. It's 3 rivets off of this first part here. I'll just finagle it off. Tricky part is, due to the way you have to cut these, is the whole blue piece has the film on it. So you kind of have to play with it just a little bit to get it off the first time. But sure, 1, 2, 3. just a bit. All right, so now that one's on. So now to do the entire side. Alright, now we're back to this side being like it was before we started. So now we do from here to the end. And again, I'll speed this up. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to adjust the spacing because it just doesn't look right to me. So I'm going to shift this over a little bit. Shift that one over a little bit. Yeah, that looks a little better already. Alright guys, so there was a section here that I just recorded where I just put these there. But I had an idea as I was doing it. I guess these combine cars in real life wouldn't really have anything over here. It would just all be here. So I'm gonna see if I like that a little bit better, spacing wise. So here goes a time lapse of me trying to fit Southern Needle lines all the way right there. Alright, time for the last letter, at least for the Southern Needle Lines part. And I think I do like it on this side a little bit better than what I had initially. So before I place this last one, I think I'm gonna shift it over here and go ahead and start trying to space out the name a little bit better. All right, I think that looks pretty good. So while these sit and dry for a little bit, I'm gonna go get some lunch and then we'll come back to it. All right guys, so a couple hours have passed now while I've been working on this. My camera battery was really low, so I didn't want to risk it running out while I was doing the take here and not be able to see it. But what I did was I did the other side here, and I'll flip it once I fix this eye. And I've started obviously on this side. So this is what the not yet finished product will look like, because I had an idea while I was doing this side. So we can get that in good and focus. There we go. Southern Eagle Lines, Southern Pride, 1982. So for those of you who may be new to the channel and don't really know the whole lore, I guess, as it is with my channel, Southern Eagle Lines, the name Southern Eagle Lines comes from my university, where I graduated college from, Georgia Southern University, and our mascot is obviously an eagle. So I figured I wanted to inspire my layout to be inspired by local areas from where I live, as well as Statesboro, which is where Georgia Southern is, and things like that. And in 1981, Irk Russell restarted our football program, and he will have a car in this contest too whenever I get around to making it. But in 1982, the university decided they needed a marching band, and they called it Southern Pride. So I explained that in the video where I work on the sound stuff for this car, and I'm still working on that. There's a bit of an issue with the speaker sound part that I bought. I got to figure out why it's not putting out sound correctly, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But as far as my idea is, I thought just to give it that little bit of extra, not flair, but I'm gonna buy from Microscale, which is where I bought these decals from. They sell, and I almost bought it, and now I'm wishing I did, stripes that are thin and are matched this color gold. So I think if I buy the stripes to go on this little lip here where the windows are, that would give it that nice little touch that I feel like these cars need. I could also buy a white stripe just to see which one I like better, but I think I'm gonna like the gold better, but we'll see. So at the end of this video, this car will be mostly done. I mean, it'll be done as far as I went out to do today, but it won't be done as far as the video and the car itself goes. So we'll finish up the car here, and then we'll wrap up the video, and then I'll order those stripes today as of recording of this video. And by the time I go to make my next video on these, the rest of the cars will be hopefully done and lettered. And we'll do the video on me applying the stripes and clear coating it. So speaking of finishing up the car, let's go ahead and do that. And Discord is blowing up right now. I don't know what's going on. Edge of the car. So now I gotta pull it up. Alright, let's try this again. Take a tiny bit longer. Make sure that's all clean. Alright, I'm 19 and 2 beside my 9, 8 and 2 and a little bit more. Make sure I got my placement right. And my height. I want the heights to match. I got approximately a rivet row between them. Last number should line up with the end of the N. It does. Alright. So there we go. And there's the other side. And like I said, I'll probably end up putting a stripe going down the window ledge here. It'll stop here, but it'll keep going on those down my other cars, so it'll be all the way across. So with all that being said, I'm only going to do this car in this video, so thank you guys so much for watching. And if you want to stay up to date on this, I will probably doing a update on this pretty quick in the near future. I'm going to buy the stripes and then maybe 1 or 2 more sheets of these just in case something screws up on one of the other ones that I have. But I'm going to keep working on these cars in the meantime, so that way whenever the stripes come in, they're all ready to go, and we'll finish up the stripe here if I like it, and then we'll clear coat all of them in the next video. So again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, let me know down below. Leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next week.